We are bringing you a very special voice from Davos. John Chambers is a name well recognized both in corporate circles here in Davos as well as now very relevant in the India context as well. John, always great to have you on NDTV. But first I have to ask you about the air in Davos, particularly when it comes to the India story.
Well, first, the air, as you can feel, it's one of the coldest it's ever been. This is my 17th time in being here. The overall view in Davos is one of excitement and concern. And you're seeing changes take place on a global basis at faster pace than we've ever seen. In terms of the India story here in Davos, people are getting it. Probably half the sessions that I'm in, either I talk about India and how successful your country is and is going to be, and how you're leading in digitization and innovation, and how you're transforming yourself in a model for the rest of the world, including the developed world, whether Europe or the United States, and then how you're willing to take change, and change makes everybody uncomfortable when it first occurs, but it's what you must do. You either disrupt or get disrupted in this new world. So I think India is the role model for the rest of the world, and I think it's one of the most pleasant surprises in Davos and how far your country's come in the last year.
But you do believe then Prime Minister Modi's disruptor move, which many would describe the demonetization is not a permanent shock for the Indian economy?
Absolutely. So answering it in the order you raised it, I think you're going to see the effect on the economy be a 1 to 2 quarter effect. I had the chance to talk to a number of your top bankers, a number of your top retailers, etc. Many of them were already seeing the recovery in December. So I think if you look at the economic growth, the impact will be relatively small on a year basis, and it'll be largely a 1 to 2 quarter phenomena. I think the growth next year will actually be dramatically more because of this. And there's an example where your Prime Minister had the courage to disrupt. 2 years ago, I would have described India, unfortunately, as a very slow follower. And when your Prime Minister outlined his vision, India has laid the foundation over the last 2.5 years for the next 20. And it's much like if you look at the progress of the last 25, open up your markets, life expectancy going up by 2x, 4 times the income growth of the average family. I think if India can grow not just 5 or 6 or 7%, but 8, 9 or 10%, means your per capita income is probably going to double every 6 to 7 years. It's an inclusive approach to digitization. It's unbelievably brilliant. And I think you have one of the best leaders in the world. And if he's successful, and you as a country are successful, and it truly is the benefit of 1.3 billion people, I think you'll see every other country in the world follow India.
So John, last year here in Davos, you told NDTV that if India misses the bus this time, there's no new rides.
Yes.
Do you believe that we've taken on that bus? We haven't missed our opportunity?
I think it's actually the reverse. I think India has moved more in the last year than any other country in the world, maybe about 2 to 3 fold. I think you're now leading the bus line, and I think you're beginning to be talked about in Davos as the model for the future, not of emerging countries, but all countries. I like the way that you're taking good business risk, but it's consistent. It isn't a one-off or just something that the Prime Minister and his team get. As I travel throughout your country, Rajasthan, for example, what Chief Minister Raj is doing there, she is literally transforming that economy. Jaipur is probably the smartest city in India. And how fast they've moved from concept of 18 months ago to implementation today. You're seeing ecosystem partners in that state bring to life concepts such as excellence centers where business and startups can come for the future. You're seeing awards being given out to 100 different applicants from 85 different schools about the most innovative idea for applications. You're seeing programs to train 10,000 men and women actually in the state, and that's just what Cisco is doing there. You move to Gujarat, always been the leader, it's continuing to lead. You move to Andhra Pradesh, where I'll be meeting with Chief Minister Naidu tomorrow night. He's implementing a architecture which will allow him to transform his state. I believe his state will grow in double digits for the next 5 years with the benefit to everyone. You're seeing broadband brought to the home for $2.40 per month, which is about a 1 to 2% of a person's income in that state. And suddenly you can do healthcare, education, government services in a dramatic way. So India has become an innovator with a replicatable model. approach to 100 smart cities, a ability to make vision and strategy of the Prime Minister come true with Digital India, the ability to be a secure India and say, how does this work out? And Cisco's honored to be a partner there. But more important, U.S.-India Business Council, which I'm the chair of, we're partnering across the board. Our top 50 companies that we polled, and it's just 50, are going to invest $27 billion over the next 2 years. So I think we see our commitment to India-U.S. relations increasing, and I believe that India and the U.S., and there will be bumps along the way. That's natural anytime changes occur. Changes in administration, India knows what elections are like, and it takes a while for everybody to get their footing, but I believe over time the India-U.S. relationship will be the strongest, not just in Asia-Pacific, but maybe the strongest in the world.
But you think the hiccups of protectionism and the globalization debate, which has been a key topic here, is not going to have that kind of a negative effect on India as many fear?
I think that it will be a healthy give and take. And I think India is the model now. Your government very simply says, we're not going to focus on nationalism, we're not going to focus on protectionism, we're really going to focus on the benefits of digitization and how that not only benefits India, but the world. Using the U.S.-India Business Council as an example, our mutual trade has gone from 60 billion over 2 years ago to 100 billion today. We believe that over the next 5 to 7 years it can reach 500 billion. It'll be pretty equally divided. Now you can see the benefits to every person in each country if that truly occurs. But what's fascinating is this concept is beginning to explode down into entrepreneurism in every segment of India. And it isn't just you have to be in the right city as Jaipur or Mumbai to benefit. Your leader has a vision on how this goes to all 600,000 villages and how this is inclusive in a way it's never been done before. And how you ride this digitization approach where all you need is a smartphone. And all of a sudden somebody, even if they're not literate, can suddenly get many of the benefits of a digitized environment. So I believe, once again, that India is going the right way. I want to emphasize that anytime you disrupt, anyone in Silicon Valley knows if you do innovation and you do major change rapidly, which you must do to lead, there's going to be disruption by definition, and there are going to be bumps. And that's what they are. And I think demonetization is just one more example. You look back 3 to 4 years from now, and it will be a model for how you did quantitative easing at the individual citizen level, and how your citizens really got that, and how it addressed everything from 26% underground market to the the corruption that was occurring, and how people really had a benefit of being able to participate in the future economy.
So you think a very fuzzy, esoteric topic just got much more real?
Yes, it did. I think it really, you're laying the foundation in the last 2.5 years for the next 25. I think you suddenly are seeing digitization occur in India to the average citizen at a pace that's going to be dramatically faster with all the benefits. And I think it's a win-win for everybody, but there will be bumps along the way. And I encourage both the citizens of India to have confidence in your leadership. You want a leader who takes risks. And many people a year ago were saying, Prime Minister is going to move faster. Now people are going, whoa, slow down. My message to India is you're leading. I think you ought to accelerate and go faster.
I'm going to ask you the same question in Cisco's perspective, because you gave this advice to India last year as well, and you've consistently given it out. Don't be a slow follower, be a fast innovator. Is Cisco also walking the same talk?
You absolutely have to, and you have to change rapidly. What people don't realize is Silicon Valley and Cisco, probably as much as any other company, understands you either disrupt or you get disrupted. My competitors from 15 to 20 years ago, you don't even know the name of them. All of them are gone. And by the way, we had 5 or 6 that were as good as Cisco. Great companies, a Nortel, a Lucent, an Alcatel, they're a shadow of what they were before. And you see us disrupting ourselves most of the time, seeing things ahead of time, occasionally getting knocked down. And that's what makes for a strong company or a strong country. When you get knocked down, you get right back up, learn what knocked you down, and then go forward. So yeah, Cisco is transforming from selling routers and switches, which I'm really excited about, and I want people watching to buy, but we're really saying now, how do you combine those products to change your life, to make your digitization efforts in manufacturing and security really work, to increase the both life expectancy and the income of everyone in India. You have to have the courage to dream, the ability to translate that vision into execution, and then to put the metrics in place. Prime Minister Modi, as I've said many times, is definitely in the top 3 leaders I've ever met in my life, and I've met them all. And if he's successful in making this transition, I think the odds are very good he will be. And there will be bumps along the road. He might be one of the best leaders, if not the best, we've seen in probably a century. I get excited.
One of the best leaders in probably a century. That's a strong statement coming in from John Chambers of Cisco. But on that note,
Yes.
John, one final question on 2019 India. And again, you've seen so many cycles, so many leaders, met Prime Minister Modi on several occasions. What is your sense? Will he have the ability to carry on reforms in 2019? Because there's a lot of skepticism about him not being able to hold the upper house of parliament. And therefore, people in Davos have said that maybe Donald Trump has more leeway on legislative reform than Narendra Modi.
Okay, so 3 thoughts. First, technology can never align itself with any political party. True in India, true in the US, true in Europe. And it's very important that we do not from the technology side. Having said that, if you watch the transformation with the Prime Minister's focus, remember, here you are the fastest growing country in the world, and people are being critical. And you're moving faster on digitization, preparing your country for the future, and people being critical. And you're a model for every developed and developing country, and people are still being critical. So I think when leadership gets GDP growth, creates 1 million+ jobs a month, transforms every element of the society, not just the well-to-do, making it better, but really does this on an equal basis on a global capability, and has the ability. And Prime Minister Modi, it's his vision and his strategy. When I talk with him, and we do regularly, he walks through how does he come up with it, and then he says, here's the execution, here's the matrix, the metrics to measure me by, and then he helps drive it through all political parties across all states and all citizens. I personally don't think it gets much better than that, and I'd be very surprised that if you don't look at your leader for the next decade in terms of leading India and leading India to success on a global basis. But a role model where it isn't win-lose. I think the model of digitization, every country can apply very successfully. So I think India will be the model for many others.
John Chambers, many thanks indeed. That's a very strong, optimistic outlook coming from a person who has seen far more decades of corporates and businesses and political leaders across various countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's an honor.